Okay.
Welcome to the GP Podcast.
Just like
Come on down.
do a rappy intro. Just like welcome to the GP motherfucking podcast. We can talk all about the PP if you want to. I don't know the rhyme when I rap.
The PP of the GP. Nothing's better than the PP of the GP. You know what I'm saying, dog. And when I mean PP, I mean PowerPoints like Pokemon. Get your head out of the gutter, son.
Personal penis.
Get your head out of the gutter, son.
Get your head out of the gutters and onto my personal penis.
And get your penis out of the gutter, son.
And into my personal anus.
Son.
Son.
Grunting Pixel.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grunting Podcast. My name is GP, and as always, I have my friends here with me, Jared.
Hello.
And...
Steph.
Hey. We third time's a charm. And today we are going to be talking about a few things, and I think that we should start with the Steph.
Hi. All right. So, everybody has had the experience with the hype train with all these games and all that. So,
All aboard!
all aboard the hype train, and we know we've experienced
All aboard the hype train. Disappointment is our next stop.
But what about the reverse of that? How about you bought a game and you're like, this game was cheap, or this game, whatever, I bought it.
Quick side topic. When was the last game that you were super hyped for that nailed expectations? Because I feel like when you get hype, even if it's like a really good game, like if it's been hyped up, it usually never hits quite that level. It might get close.
Either Gears of War 3 or Kingdoms of Amalur.
Okay.
Because those I was really hyped for, and I think Kingdoms of Amalur... I was more hyped for Gears 3, and I think Gears 3 met and exceeded a little bit more my expectations, whereas Kingdoms of Amalur I was hyped a bit. Not as much, but I was excited for it, I guess I should say, and it blew my expectations, out of the water. However, disclaimer, I have not beaten that game because that game is too large. Sunk 120 hours in, haven't even hit the midpoint. Ridiculous.
Nice.
And I haven't even touched it since, so I don't know what that says about the overall game.
Unfortunately for me, it's too large has never been a sentence Steph has said in my direction.
I say it all the time. What are you talking about?
But now you got it on recording. You can play it to yourself all the time.
There we go. I can just put it in a loop while I cry myself to sleep.
It's true. So yeah, brings to the question though, the opposite question of...
Well, Jared, do you have any other games that like you were super hyped for and just you're like, that's exactly what I wanted?
Just two off the top of my head are, the Batman Arkham Knight and then, BioShock.
Okay. I'm trying to think for me, I don't...
And any Zelda game and any Final Fantasy game. Just throw those in there.
So you've never been disappointed by any Zelda game or Final Fantasy game? Because it sounds like you haven't played the recent Final Fantasies.
No. Okay. All right, fine. I was trying to just get it in there real quick, but if you want me to explain it, Final Fantasy XII
Much like your wife, I will never let you get it in there real quick.
If I say that there's a game that I anticipated and didn't like, then that's going to fall into my topic. But
but that's why the only question was has there ever been a game that nailed?
So with the exception of a few Final Fantasies and a few of the handheld Zelda games and BioShock and pretty much all of the Batman games, those have all met and exceeded my expectations.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm an outlier here or if it's a common thing and you guys are the outliers. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Okay, wait. I may have found one. Borderlands 2. I was fucking stoked for Borderlands 2. And that game was actually fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So that might be the one game.
Not BioShock for you?
Well, I wasn't hyped for BioShock.
Oh, okay.
I think I told the story about BioShock for me.
I believe
I thought
so.
you did. I didn't.
Yeah, no, it was one of those games that I saw the demo on Xbox Live Arcade.
Well, then that's going to fall into Stephanie's category, so you can't answer that yet.
Okay. Yes.
Coming.
Maybe.
Going back to the original
Okay, so are we
Yeah.
done with that topic? Okay, cool.
Choo-choo, back on
Usually
the
by
track.
throwing off the topics.
I'm sorry, I had a question, okay?
You need
Ah!
You didn't have to talk. You're not allowed to talk.
I have the talking dick.
Yeah, well, in case
Fucking annoying.
in case everybody hasn't realized, Stephanie and I's topics are like the complete opposite of each other, but they
I
go
doubt
together,
they've realized that because we haven't even talked about either of them yet.
Oh, I kind of said that, but I kind of said that they
alert.
went together, but
Okay, Steph.
All right. Okay. So, what is a game that you have little to no expectation from, or for, whatever? So you got a game, bought it cheap. I don't know, got it from a friend. Somehow it's in your library. Had no interest or little interest to play it, and one day you decided to play it, and just blew your mind. So what game did you have little to no expectations for, but ended up falling in love with?
Jared!
Jared!
pass. No,
Cats.
well, that's really hard because I do look up reviews and stuff for games, and so typically I don't buy a game unless I got good. But one game it came out free for Xbox, or I bought it cheap. Was I didn't plan on buying it, and that was Assassin's Creed Black Flag, because I didn't think that sailing around on the ocean would be fun for an Assassin's Creed game, but it ended up becoming my favorite Assassin's Creed game. And well, I spent tons and tons of time on that game, so I guess that would be an example that I can think of.
Any other examples? Because I imagine this would probably be a multiple.
In addition, like, when you think about, like, whenever I think about games like this, I think about my childhood, because back then, you know, while the internet was around, at least I didn't really look up, like, I wasn't aware about game journalism and all that, especially in the early days. So it might be one of those things where, like, you saw a really cool box at the store, and you bought it because it had cool artwork or whatever, or it sounded cool, and then it just blew your mind. So, I don't know, even something like that, where it's, like, early, you know, Nintendo days or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, because with me, it's like I always look up reviews and stuff for a game before I buy it. Like I don't just impulse buy a game.
Like, even when you were a kid, like, you did research and all that?
Oh man, I can't remember a lot from my childhood.
The only thing I remember from my childhood is waiting by the door wondering when Daddy's coming home.
Yeah. Yep, pretty much. And spoiler alert, he never met my expectations.
He never did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
But no, when I was a kid, we were too poor. I mean, we only had a few games, and we would rent games, and they were pretty much, you know, new and different. So I enjoyed the hell out of all of them because it was better than playing my games I owned for the millionth time. So I don't really, nothing at the top of my head really pops out.
I think that most of mine are going to come, kind of like how Steph was talking, from when I was a kid. But I do have some recent ones. And I have a shitload of these. So this might be a story time with GP, unfortunately.
Here we go.
So everybody strap in, get yourself a drink, or turn off the podcast if you don't want to listen to me talk.
No, don't turn off the podcast.
Stay for Jared.
Listen to him talk.
I'm trying to think of what the first one would have been. I think probably the first one for me was... Oh, geez. I'm trying to remember the year that this all came out. Like, for me, between ages, like, 0 and 12 are, like, the same year in my brain. Like, I have no time reference for, like, when shit happened in that one. But I'll just go in basic order from what I can remember. Probably the first one would have either been StarCraft, the original, or GoldenEye on the 64. When I was a kid, I didn't really have... I wasn't looking up games and like following them and seeing when they're going to be released or anything like that. It was really just kind of one of those things where it's just like we would go down to our old mom and pop rental game store, and I would look around and be like, "Well, that looks cool," and then I would get it, and then I'd find out if it was good or not. And this one was like GoldenEye, and I'm just like, I don't know what a James Bond is. Let's get it. And then that game, I mean, it's fucking GoldenEye. Everybody knows the game was fucking phenomenal at the time. StarCraft, my neighbor was heavy into PC gaming, and I was more console. But we would, go back and forth, and I'd play PC games at his house, and he'd play console games at my house. And he's like, "You should play this game called StarCraft." And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. It sounds like Star Wars, but dumb. And he's like, no, it's way better. I'm like, doubt it. And fucking StarCraft is fucking awesome. I love that game. Love the absolute shit out of that game. Jared, are you okay?
Yeah, I hit my mic. Sorry about that.
I was just making sure you didn't get hit by a nuke or something.
I got excited by your comment.
I love StarCraft. Some more recent ones, though. This one probably is probably still along at the same time. The original Halo. So, I think I've talked about this before, but Halo was the game that got me into gaming to the point where, like, it wasn't like, I play games because games are fun. It was like, I play games, and I research games, and I study games, and I follow games, and I do games, and I live and breathe through all that shit. And Halo was the one that really, like, made me start, like, looking forward to future releases. So when Halo came out, like, there was a lot of marketing and stuff for it, but I was just a kid. I wasn't even paying too much attention to that. I was still, picking my nose. That's not true. But, it was just one of those things where, like, a lot of people who are following Xbox and Sony and games and stuff like that were like, Halo's supposed to be awesome. But for me, here's how I found out Halo existed. We got an Xbox. We got a Xbox for Christmas because my brother and my mom saw it in the store and they couldn't believe how good it looked. My mom's quote, and she still says it to this day, is that she couldn't believe that when she was looking at the screen, she felt like she could reach in and pull the people out. Because the games had looked that good to her at the time. Now they look like poopy shit, but at the time they were really good. So we got that, and then my brother's birthday's in January, like 3 weeks after Christmas, and his friend's like, here's Halo! And he's like, let's go play Halo! And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And then, like, they played Halo all night, and I just kind of, like, watched from the corner being like, this looks kind of cool. And then, like, they, like, played all night, and then they're like, time to go to sleep. And I'm like, Mikey, can I play Halo? And he's like, I don't give a fuck. And then my life changed forever. Which, spoiler alert, might come up.
So did you say that, like, did you think Halo was like a game about angels or something? I don't want to play this Jesus game.
What the fuck is it, Jesus? No, the thing is like, they were like, here's a game called Halo, Combat Evolved. And I'm like, well, Combat Evolved is weird for Jesus, says aliens, or angels, whatever. And then I saw them play it like 10 minutes later, so I didn't have too much of a build-up on it. But more recently, I would say, God, this is a whole fucking boring-ass list.
No, it's
more recently,
some.
would probably have been Fallout 3. Because when Fallout was announced, there was a lot of people who were really excited for it because they were a fan of the older style. But to me, I'm like, I've never heard of Fallout, but this kind of shooty first-person game looks kind of cool. And then the game was getting like a lot of like good, press and reviews and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I like FPSs, I'll buy this game. And then I bought the game, and I'm like, this is not even close to what I thought it was going to be, but it's fucking awesome. And then Fallout 3 was obviously absolutely amazeballs.
Yeah, I just to branch off that, Fallout 3 was a game that I saw the reviews, got like a 10 out of 10 or a 9.75 out of 10 on Game Informer or something, and I'm like, I don't really know what this is, but I'll try it. And I actually played like an hour of it and turned it off and said, this game sucks. But then I didn't have any games and came back to it, and it turned out to become like one of my most favorite games that I own on my 360. So I guess you could qualify that for, but technically I looked at the review for it before I bought it.
But you weren't
so
hyped
I had
about it.
Some expectation, but I wasn't hyped about it. You're right.
Yeah.
So that would fall. I actually came up with a small little list here when you were talking.
Yeah, go for it. Your list. I'm sure there's more, but I mean, nobody wants to hear it. So
no, go ahead.
I'm still thinking. Do your thing.
Okay, well, a lot of these are old games. Some of our younger viewers may not even know what they are. Maybe they do. I don't know. One game was Battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront. My friend bought it, and he's like, "Hey, you got to play this game." And I'm like, "Star Wars game? Okay." And we played the hell out of that game. A lot. And then repeat Mario 64. That was a game, like, because when I was young, like, I was able to see the Nintendo 64 come out, and like, I was old enough to like be able to look at the games and have hype with my friends about it and stuff, whereas you guys are probably a little bit younger. But like, Mario 64 wasn't like, Mario games were a big thing back then, with the Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World, I mean, was like a huge game for the Super Nintendo. And then they came out with this Mario 64, and it was actually, in my circle of friends, a big deal. And I was like, I don't know. But then when I played it, it blew me away. So that's kind of a middle ground there for me. Another game is, I've got four more here, but I won't go on long rants about them. Another one was San Francisco Rush. I don't know if anybody's ever heard about that game, but it's a racing game, and I never get hyped up about racing games because they're racing games.
I'm going to let you can finish here, but whatever you're going to say, I guarantee you is exactly what I'm going to say. I agree, so go ahead.
Yeah.
So what I was going to say was GP's a total fucking cunt. So San Francisco Rush made me think about this guy named GP. He's a total fucking prick. It's like, I didn't think he was going to... No! Sorry, go ahead.
So this was another game. I think it was for Nintendo 64. So it was a long time ago. Yeah, I think it was, and or at least the version I played. And my friends my stepbrother was like, "Hey, play this game," and I'm like, "It's a racing game. It looks kind of dumb." I played it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the greatest racing game I've ever played," and it was awesome. Another one for the Sega Genesis was Road Rash. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that game. It's just a motorcycle game, and I bought it on a whim, or my mom bought it for me on a whim, I think. And I played it, and I ended up getting all like 2 or 3 of them that came out because the game was so funny and fun to play with friends. The other one was the Fallout 3 that we already talked about. And then Call of Duty 2. Like, I didn't start out as a first-person shooter gamer. Like, I was there when they kind of, like, came out with them with Doom and Duke Nukem and all that stuff. And, I never really was that adamant about it. But, when I got my Xbox 360, and I think I already told this story, I bought Call of Duty 2 with it. Only because all the other games that were available when the Xbox first came out didn't seem that fun. I played the hell out of that game. That game just blew my mind and pretty much opened the door for first-person shooters for me.
Jared, I'm going to have to ask you to stop taking my answers.
And okay, sorry.
I'm just kidding. But I agree. Fucking Call of Duty 2 is... It's funny that you say that because it's literally the same thing. I got my Xbox 360 and I got 3 games because I got it the year after it came out. I got Call of Duty 2, because it was the only real thing on it. I got Perfect Dark Zero, because it's the only real thing on it. And then the game that I bought the system for, which was Gears of War. So it's funny, because it's like the same type of thing where I got those 2 games because I'm like, wow, I like shooting games, and it's all they got on it.
Yeah.
And Call of Duty 2 was awesome. I really enjoyed that game. Not so great anymore.
Yeah. I remember taking it to my friend's house, like, you have to watch this introduction, man. It's crazy. You know, the introduction to the game where they're, like, running around and they're, it's showing scenes from the game and stuff. Like, I just remember my friends and I watched it and going, whoa, that's so cool. And the music, like, was all dramatized and stuff. That's shit now compared to the games. But when it first came out, that was awesome to me. Plus, the game's good. I'm just saying that.
No, it's so good.
That's a memory I have of showing my friends that part of the game before we played it.
Any other games? I was actually paying attention to you, Jared, so I didn't have time to think of games and write them down while you were talking. So, I don't think I have any more. I'm sure there's more, and I'm sure they're not very interesting. It also depends on what you consider expectation or interested in. Because I guess what I'm thinking of for this question, which is probably wrong for me, is I was actually thinking legitimately excited for.
Yeah, like when I think about it this way, it's a game that you saw. Like it could even be a game that you saw and you're interested in, but like you played it with the expectation of like, okay, I'm gonna play a game. It's gonna be fun, and then the game just blows your mind. It's like I am in love with this game.
Did we ever hear Steph's answer?
No, she's saving it for last.
I mean, I could tell you now to give you a very fine example of of there were several games.
The original Gears of War.
Actually, I don't know because like I hear it's a really good. No, because what happened was I saw Gears of War 2. I didn't play Gears of War 1 until 2000. Yeah, I after Gears of War 2. So, like, I didn't know about Gears of War until I saw the E3 demonstration of Gears of War 2. And that was the first E3 I saw also. So, I'm like, this is a cool game. What is this? And then looked it up. Gears of War 1. Got it. Played Gears of War 1. Fell in love with it. So, like, I had, like, expectation of what Gears was. I knew what Gears was. But
I guess the question is, are we saying that we expected the game to be great? Or we had expectations about what the game was going to be?
I
Because if we expected the game, because that difference literally is the difference whether or not Gears of War makes it on that list. Because the only reason I bought Gears of War is because I couldn't believe how fucking good graphically the game looked.
Yeah.
I didn't go in going, because this game looks graphically this amazing, that it's going to be the best game ever. I was just like, this game looks fucking crazy good. I want to play
It's a game that you bought that you didn't expect the gameplay to be so much fun. Or the universe, like something about it really grabs. Like,
so if you went in under like one little thing, but it grabbed you on all the levels.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay.
Because
Well, then
like, for
Gears
example,
of War is on mine. Because,
Yeah,
like I
okay.
just said, I saw that game and I'm like, this game looks so fucking phenomenally good. I just have to play it. I'm not like, this game's gonna be the greatest game of all time. I couldn't believe that video games looked like that.
Right.
Because in my brain, I'm still thinking of fucking like Quake 2 on the 64, where everything was like 10 polygons at
Right,
most.
so you're expecting Gears at that time to play more like a tech demo than, something along the lines of like Crysis 2.
Yeah, I don't think that I was like that knowledge based of the industry. To,
But
like,
I mean,
put that
like,
to
essentially, it's
to-
where your brain was at. Was like, I wasn't expecting, superior gameplay. Because, like,
Yeah.
for example, like Call of Duty 2, I hear that Call of Duty 2 is probably one of the best Call of Duties, in its line, and I, didn't get around to playing Call of Duty 2 until, like, maybe a couple of years ago. Same thing with Resident Evil 4. Like, that where, like, I'm not hyped for it, but I understand how good these games are. That's not what we're talking about. Like, the main game that really inspired this question would be the original Mass Effect. I did not get around to playing any of the Mass Effect games until last year. And
Wow.
yeah, I know. Because the thing is that it's one of those games where, like, I was aware it was a franchise and I was aware that people liked it, but there was nothing that drew me in at the time. And also, at the same time, I miraculously avoided all spoilers, save for the third one.
Shepard was Reaper the whole time. Oh, sorry. Fuck.
Oh, no, GP.
Can we edit that
How
out,
dare
please?
you
Can we edit that out?
spoil a several
Martin, edit
game.
that out. They can't know that Commander Shepard was a Reaper the whole time. No, they can't know that.
Martin,
They can't.
leave that in. We gotta rip out the
Martin, they
off the Band-Aid.
cannot. Fuck this guy. He's fired. You're fired.
I think he's dead.
Silly Martin.
So I lost my train of thought. Look what you did. Look what Martin did.
I'm sorry. I have to. I have to
Fucking
discipline. I have to discipline my employees.
So yeah. So I got the game on a sale for $5, the first Mass Effect, and it was sitting on my hard drive for months and months. And eventually, I had nothing else to do one day, and I decided, okay, well, I hear this game is good, right? Whatever. I'll give it a shot. There was nothing about Mass Effect where I'm like super excited for. I started up the game. As soon as I hit the Citadel, I was like, oh my god, where was this game? Where have you been in my life? Like,
And that's the moment I found out she loved the game more than me.
yeah, pretty much. I have shotgunned through all 3 games within a couple of months. It was ridiculous. It was because the thing is, when I played that game, I have experienced something I haven't felt when since I was a kid, kind of like that excitement when you're playing a good game. And, like, you didn't know. Like, it was back in the day where, like, you didn't read reviews or anything. You just saw a cool game. You ended up playing it, and it's, like, the best thing ever. That's exactly the same experience I had with Mass Effect, where I'm just like, what is this game? Like, it went from 0 to 60 in terms of just, like, now this is one of my favorite games, favorite franchises, of the 360 era. And it's just crazy because, like, 8 eluded me for so long, and eventually I got around playing it, and here is Mass Effect. So
I wish that you guys could see just like the mental image that went through my head of like a Romeo and Juliet style thing where Steph is just chasing this floating video game that's like hiding behind trees and like running through forests and lilacs, just like, I think I need you, come back, I must avoid you, eluding. you walk around the corner and you look around, you're just trying to like see it, and it's just like hiding behind a trash can, like
yeah.
Enjoy that in your brains.
Nice.
I love that imagery. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Other examples would be when I was a kid, I got games for Christmas, and I was like a Wii thing, and like first console I owned was the GameCube. Late to the party, I know. And the games I got for Christmas were like some Jimmy Neutron game and Pikmin. And I thought Pikmin looked dumb. I didn't touch it. I saw my brother play it. I'm like, it looked okay. But I eventually got around playing it, and I fell in love with that game. And I never beat it because that game was so hard, especially for like a small little dumb kid like me at the time, where you had to beat the game in 30 days. And and each day is 15 minutes. So I don't know how you do the math there, but you had to beat a game at before a certain time, and you got to make sure that you did everything before the certain time, or else you get like the bad ending. And so
7.5 hours.
There we go. You got to beat it in 7. Wow, that's a short game when you think about it that way.
Well, it was funny because you said that each day is 15 minutes. The first number that came into my head is like 15 hours because I thought my brain's like 15 minutes. That makes sense, right? And I'm like, that's a long game. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's no way it's 15 hours.
But yeah, so it's very difficult. But then after that, I bought Pikmin 2, really liked it. So yeah, it was just one of those surprising, because like back then Nintendo, it's like, all right, Mario, Zelda, those are good games, and then Pikmin was this new IP, that Nintendo brought out, and it was just a pleasant experience. But yeah, Mass Effect was just this huge thing that just, I don't know, it just came to my doorstep, and it's just like, hey, you're gonna let me in? And eventually let it in, and I fell in love with it, had kids, got married.
This is going to be an answer similar to Jared's one with Fallout 3. So I'm going to count it because, okay, let me explain it, then you'll understand why I'm going to count it. Mass Effect was shown in Game Informer magazines or Xbox magazines or some magazine, whatever the fuck I had at the time. And I kept looking at these pictures. I'm like, I can't believe this is a video game. This looks so fucking amazing. And I'm reading through it, and they're like, it's a space thing, and you can go to different places. RPG, but there's shooting, and there's character development. You can have sex with aliens. And I'm just like, this sounds like the greatest game of all time. So I went in with huge expectations, which makes you wonder, why am I putting that on this list? Well, that's because, much like Jared, I played that game for about 2 hours and then returned it. I got it through GameFly, and I played it, and I sent it back. Because I'm like, fuck this game. This game is fucking trash. It's boring. I don't know where I'm going. The Citadel's confusing. Why do they have a fake Cortana in this game? Fuck this game. Then, like, a year later, one of my friends, Brian, had been, like, playing through the game. He just 1000G'd it, and he's like, dude, you gotta play it. I'm like, I played it, and I didn't like it. He's like, where'd you stop playing it? And I'm like, I don't know, the first place you get to with, like, people in it. And he's like, the Citadel? And I'm like, I think that's what he's called. He's like, you didn't even get 1% of the game. And I'm like, no. And he's like, seriously, get off the Citadel and you have fun. And I'm like, fine. And I fucking bought the game, and now I had no expectations because I thought I hated it. Got off the Citadel.
You had reverse expectations. In fact, you had it worse. You're just expecting to hate the game, but...
Finally got off the Citadel after playing it again, and then, okay, yep, I like this game a lot. This game's awesome. And then I think my last one, I'm sure there's more, but the last one that I'll say is BioShock.
Oh, yeah.
I saw, they did an E3 teaser trailer thing that was pre-rendered and stuff like that, and I'm like, this game looks weird. That guy got a drill through him in bee hands. Okay. And then that was it. But then I was just on Xbox one day and like, check out these new demos, and they had the Big Daddy on the front, and I'm like, BioShock, is that game with the drill hand? Sure. Downloaded it. And then that'll continue in my topic, but because that's going to lead into it.
Well, I feel like that you're going to have the same experience you have with Mass Effect with Elder Scrolls Oblivion, because you did put that down after a little bit. I think that once you get past the beginning there, you'll have a blast with it. My personal opinion. I'm just saying,
Yeah. No, I mean, I might. And one of these days, I'll get around to it. Maybe when Elder Scrolls 9 comes out.
At that point, don't even go back to Oblivion. Like, it's dead.
Well, it's funny because I know 3 things about Oblivion. 1, everybody loved that game but me. 2, that game was broken. And 3, swim around in the water a lot for agility.
It's not a bug, it's a feature.
that's what I know about. Yeah. That's what I know about that game.
Well, it's funny because, like, please do not pick up any pitchforks. I've been contemplating on doing that with Half-Life 2. Because I have not beaten Half-Life 2.
Oh, yeah.
And not because it's weird.
Half-Life 2 is on my list, too. She just reminded me.
I keep hearing about that game. I never
It's a good game. And the thing is that I hear really good things. The thing is that I played the game after I heard so much good, and I played it and I enjoyed it. However, there was a point in the game where I stopped playing, and then I never picked it up again. I didn't hate it.
That is because I'm just curious. How
it
far
was,
you
I guess, the introduction of Dog. I don't know if that's Alex fans. It's just like, here's Dog. I was a good chunk through.
You were into the game.
Yeah, I was.
You have a lot to go though.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened, but I don't know.
When did you play this?
Several years ago.
But like how many? I mean, are you talking like early 2000s when it came out, or are we talking like 2011?
Actually, I played it. Funny enough, I played it on the Orange Box.
Okay, so that's pretty far after it came out.
Yeah, so that was very far. Again, it was after I hear all the hype and all the good things about like Half-Life 2, the greatest game ever. I'm not talking smack about Half-Life 2. I can see why it got the respect it did. I can see how it was revolutionary. I don't know if it hit that bone in my body that pushed me as it did with Mass Effect.
Hit your G-spot.
It suffers from the same thing that GameSpot. It suffers from the same thing that not Call of Duty, GoldenEye 007 and games like that suffer for. Like at the time, if you played that game when that game came out, that game's gonna blow your fucking mind. If you play it
before Halo came out.
If you play it, it came out after Halo.
Half-Life.
Right?
No, GoldenEye?
No, sorry. I'm
GoldenEye is 64 game.
Yeah, no, I thought you were talking about Half-Life.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about if you play GoldenEye before Halo came out, when they revolutionized the first-person shooters controls, then it was a phenomenal game.
So what happened with Half-Life is if you played Half-Life when it first came out, Half-Life 2, that game would blow in your fucking mind because it literally was the best-looking, most amazing shooter there was. You play it now, it's a good shooter.
Yeah.
That's about it. Like, it's things don't always age well. Just because something was amazing back then doesn't mean it's amazing now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
Jared, your topic.
My topic is the opposite of Steph's topic, and that is games you regret ever buying, and that could be just games that you just bought on a whim and regret, or games that you, specifically for me, games you were really excited about and then they let you down.
I have a very...
and I have several games on this list.
I'm gonna open mine.
Go for it.
Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
I quit.
I'm sorry. Like, we kind of touched on it in this one, we touched on the other one. I got that game because that game was supposed to be amazing, and I returned it within like 6 hours. It was even less than that
too for a couple of months or years.
Yeah, it was the original Mass Effect. Yeah, but I came back to that one, so I don't still say it. But yeah, like I bought that game because I was like, I need a new game, and the guy at the fucking thing was like, you should get this one, and I'm like, okay, and then I got it, and I'm like, this is supposed to be amazing, and I played it for a handful of hours, and I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. There's no quest marker, and my map doesn't tell me anywhere to go, and I guess now I'm in a dungeon, and the skeleton is kicking my ass. Okay, sending this game back, and that was it. And that was my first one. I have more, but go ahead, guys.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go way back in the day. I can't believe this is way back in the day. 10
Pac-Man.
years! Jeez. 10 years ago, 2005.
That's not way back in the day to me.
It's not way back in the day.
10 years ago? Oh my god, come on.
Ah, jeez.
I can't say, the thing is that technically it is way back in the day because it's been a decade. Like,
I guess that's
it
true.
doesn't feel that way, but it is.
That sucks.
Like yesterday, it felt like 1993. I don't know.
How is it still not the aughts?
Right?
I don't understand.
Right? It's still...
Okay, so back in the...
So,
it's really hard to say that.
Alright. I played a lot of Nintendo games back in the day. Played a lot of GameCube games back in the day. I didn't own a PS4 mainly because I got my GameCube as a gift and my parents couldn't afford a console. Fair enough. And I didn't know anybody who owned a PS4. Or PS4, just kidding. PS2. Also didn't know anybody who owned a PS4 at the time.
Incidentally enough.
And so I was huge on the Sonic series. Now this was still...
Sonic 06?
Nah, this was when Sonic was beginning its downhill descent, but it was
Gotta
still...
go fast.
It still had some some soul in it.
Gotta go downhill fast.
Until Shadow the Hedgehog rolled around.
Oh man.
And he
Sonic.
went fast.
Gotta go
but
downhill fast.
Gotta
Silly,
go
silly
downhill
Sonic.
fast.
That's a good joke.
It is.
High five me.
Listen, I was talking, didn't hear your joke, so.
What are you, Jared?
No, I can't just talk and listen at the same time.
No. What?
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 Huh?
What'd you say?
Don't look at this list. I might influence
Oh
you.
no! But I've never played either of those games.
Well, don't look at this list.
Okay. So yeah, I was super hyped about that game. I was following it. I saw it in Game Informer. Actually, funny enough, that's how I got introduced to Game Informer. No, just kidding. Not Game Informer. Nintendo Power, the other magazine. Saw it on the cover in Nintendo Magazine. Issue 195. I even remember that stupid number. But I saw Shadow the Hedgehog on the cover. I'm like, what? Shadow the Hedgehog?
He's angsty and awesome. He's
he appeals to my middle school angst.
Yeah.
So I...
He has true ambivalence towards good and evil. Just like me.
Whoa.
Seems like we shared similar pasts.
Too bad I can't split that. If we were recording on two different microphones, I definitely would have put mine in one ear and yours on the other.
Oh, that would have been great.
That would have been great.
Yeah. Just...
Gotta ambivalence fast.
There we go. Angst. So, read about it. I scoured through GameSpot and GameSpy and everything, learning everything I could for Shadow the Hedgehog, because I'm like, this is really cool. Sonic's getting edgy. Shadow the Hedgehog is my favorite character. Favorite Sonic game at the time was, actually, it's still today because everything else sucks, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Love Shadow. So I'm like, alright, this is cool. I begged for it for Christmas, got it for Christmas, $50 game. Within the first hour, I was just like, oh my god, what is this? What I have never felt. So this was Christmas Day also. I have never felt a crushing power against my heart. Something as disappointing as it was. And back at, I'm sure now if, that same sequence happened where, at this point, I don't know, Shadow the Hedgehog was going to come out, I would be very skeptical. I would be like, alright, this game's, probably not going to be great. But as a kid, all I could see is my favorite character is getting his own game, and it looks cool. And it's just a well of disappointment. Like, I've never been so disappointed in my life about a game. And I've been disappointed, I've played bad games. I've played games worse than Shadow the Hedgehog. But the difference is that I was very hyped about that game.
You've had sex with Grunting Pixel.
No, we haven't.
You know disappointment.
I am very, at the point with Shadow the Hedgehog, I know how to deal with disappointment. So, my relationship is fine because I can deal with disappointment. Now I have that experience.
And
I guess
see
that's
what's
the only thing I
great
can say about...
is I've learned to deal with disappointment because I never get to have sex. So.
Yeah, well, I'm married, so I feel you.
So, yeah, it was just I played through it, and it eventually grew on me like a bad B movie, but it also the whole thing where it was rated T, or not T, but E10, because that was also beginning when before, if it wasn't E, it was T, and then they introduced E10, which is the in-between point, because Sonic swears.
Damn it!
Everybody.
I know exactly how you feel.
It's just ooh, okay, what's going on? So,
because I was on the Sega train when everybody was on the PlayStation train. And I bought the Sega Saturn. I was hardcore. I was like, I'm not gonna give up on you, Sega. I'm loyal. So I remember when Sonic started going downhill, and just the disappointment. I mean, probably worse than knowing that my father didn't care to see me and didn't care about me. I mean, probably worse than that. I mean, when Sega went out of business, or not out of business, when they left the console race, it was like a crushing blow. I was like,
I don't even think it's a contest.
I
think it's no contest between those two. That Sega's way more disappointing.
Well, I know, but when I was playing Sega before PlayStation was a thing. I was all about the Sega. I didn't have the money back then to buy both. So I had to be on the Sega bandwagon, and I was hoping that the Sega Saturn would equal the PlayStation 2, but it didn't. And then the Dreamcast was just terrible. I remember saving up for the Sega Dreamcast. Awful.
Hey, the Dreamcast may not have been great, but it did have Power Stone on it, and that game is fucking awesome.
had Dead or Alive on it, and that was the game that my buddies and I played a bunch.
Dead or Alive is cool, but fucking Power Stone. That was like...
It had boom mechanics.
That was Super Smash Bros. Before Super Smash Bros. That's on my list of games that blew my mind. I can't... You said Dreamcast, and that just, like, flooded into my skull. Power Stone was fucking awesome, and I had no expectations. We picked it up at a garage sale for 65 cents or some shit.
I love when that stuff happens, where you get something in a bargain bin, and, like, it's just like, this is actually really good. Going back, like, I know it's like, I know I mentioned Mass Effect, but one game I completely forgot, and this happened, this is the most recent thing. It wasn't something as large scale as, you know, the Amazing Sci-Fi Trilogy, but Binary Domain was a game that I was eyeing, several years ago when, you know, it was announced, and then I just didn't hear about it. It kind of, like, fell off the face of the earth. And then I saw it at Target for, like, $10. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'll pick it up. And that game was actually good. I mean, it's honestly, I'd give the game like a 7.5 out of a 10. It's got flaws, it's got, you know, issues, but like, it was a surprise. It was a pleasant surprise that, you know, I picked up a game for cheap, and I wasn't sure, you know, whether this game would go either way. And I had some, you know, skepticism in the beginning, but like, as I played through it, like, it was a solid game, and I was just like, all right, it's one of those things where it's a hidden gem. You know, one of those fun games. But yeah, fun experiences of diving into the bargain bin.
Bargain bin.
Bargain bin.
Were you? I think you were still saying something, Jared, when I rudely interrupted you.
Rude.
Oh no, I was just relating to Steph with the, you know, how the Sonic, like when they started coming out with like the new Sonics or even the 3D Sonics and stuff. It was just like the heart-crushing blow that, I mean, I knew that Sega was finished. And then they came out with the Sega Saturn. They didn't come out with a Sonic game. They didn't, and I don't know. It was just, I was kind of like, when you were going through that era, just know that somebody else on this planet was going through it with you.
The only two people on planet Earth.
Yeah.
But he was slightly older, and it was probably more sad.
Gotta defy physiology fast.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Fast.
Fun to do that. For me, I'm gonna say that these games disappointed me, but unfortunately or fortunately,
And pause.
Dramatic pause. Fortunately or unfortunately, I did enough research in video games when I actually had expectations of what these video games would be, that I've never had that one where I was just like, no, are you the chosen one? Why? Like I never was that taken off guard by it. But I do have some that disappointed me. But obviously not to an extreme extent. Elder Scrolls Oblivion, we already talked about. There was also this other game called Elder Scrolls Oblivion. That game really disappointed. I'm just kidding.
I was confused for a second. I'm like, whoa, did my brain do like a little time lapse?
Did I just deja?
Could you tell us about it and take at least 20 minutes?
Deja vu. The next one that I can think of was Alone in the Dark on the 360. Now, I got that game because they were doing like tech demos essentially of it, where they're like, check out this awesome fire propagation mechanic that we have in here. If you touch something that catches on fire, it'll break down and burn dynamically. And if you also touch other things that can catch fire, it'll catch fire from that spot and spread. And I'm just like, that sounds cool. So I got the game, and the fire propagation was pretty fucking cool, but that game controlled like whack. I'm pretty sure it may have had a story.
Somewhere.
And it was an okay game bordering on the next one, and I still had fun with this game, but it was disappointing, and that was Brink. Brink was basically like, it's Mirror's Edge, but with guns and you shoot people. I'm like, that sounds awesome. And aside from the fact that nobody could even play that game when it launched for like ever, the AI was terrible. The gun mechanics were okay, or they're weird. The balancing was weird. The maps were okay. Like it was so middle of the like road with like things just didn't even fucking work. And that game was just kind of like, I can't believe I spent $60 on this. Obviously, everybody's going to say Destiny. That's my most recent one. I was really disappointed with Destiny. The game as a game, like in terms of moment-to-moment killing things, one of the best shooters ever. Everything else, story, progression, open world environments, everything else was just so not good. It could have been way better, and it's getting better now, and with the new expansion, it should be better, but I shouldn't have to pay to make the game what it should have been when it came out. Let
me know when it's good so that I know when to buy it, because
I'll let you know soon. It sounds like this new DLC is going to make it actually good. But
it's funny that you mentioned Destiny, because you know what? That is the most recent thing that I've actually
That's the
purchased.
most recent, yeah.
Yeah, that was disappointing. I mean, eventually it grew on me when I let go of what I wanted it to be and more like, this is just a fun game to play, you know? But yeah, it wasn't worth the $60 I paid. And, yeah.
Wow.
And then the last one I can think of off the top of my head would have been Resident Evil Revelations. So I love Resident Evil, and this was like, hey, it's a handheld game, I think is what it was originally. And they're like,
hey, you're creeping into my territory here, buddy.
Hey, you took some of mine before, so I get to take this one.
All right.
And like it's a handheld game. I'm like, I don't have a handheld, so I don't give a fuck. And then they're like, hey, we're bringing it to PCs and the 360s and PlayStation 3s, and I'm like, okay, I'll give a look at it.
PlayStation. That's funny because it's true.
I'll give it a look, at it and see, what it's all about. And I'm like, okay, it looks okay. It's weird. I don't understand this scanning thing and, whatever, but I'll give it a shot. That game is fucking trash. Like, Chris, I know you're not listening, so I don't know why I'm calling you out. But if you are listening for some reason, I'm sorry. But that game is easily one of the worst Resident Evil games I have ever played in my life. It controls not great. The scanning thing is weird, but not that big of a deal. But the main problem with it, and it is the main thing for me, is that the survival horror element isn't there, and the gunplay and enemies are fucking terrible. That game plays so badly. All the fucking monsters feel the same, and from as far as I can tell, headshots don't even do shit. And you shoot them, and they're like, "I'm not getting shot," and you shoot them like, "I'm not getting. Oh, I'm dead." Blah blah blah, and they die. And then you walk into the next fucking room, it's the same fucking guy. And I know they said, "Well, zombies are all the same." I mean, yeah, I guess, but at least zombies are fun to fucking shoot at. These things are mutant blob monsters that suck. And the guns feel bad, and you can only carry like 10 bullets, which completely destroys the whole thing where you're like, I need to scavenge. I probably left behind more ammo in that game than I took, because it always lets you take like 10 bullets and they give you 1,000 rounds. I'm like, I feel like wasting this shit. I could go forever on how disappointing that game was. That actually might be my most disappointed game ever, maybe.
Wow.
That game fucking pissed me off. It was so bad.
I got some doozies.
You might remind me of some, so let's hear it.
Okay, so for me, I've got 5 of them.
Damn!
Number 1 on the list is Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City.
I was really, Jared, I don't want to destroy track. I hate doing that. But I literally would have handed you $100 bill if you said The Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Like, if that was your first most disappointing. Like, that would have been so fucking funny that it would have been worth it.
If I was on my game, maybe, but... no, that's in my top 10 of all time now. Lost my train of thought. Okay, so yeah, Operation Raccoon City. Like, I didn't even I said, "Ooh, a new Resident Evil game. It's about time." I'm not even gonna look at the reviews. I'm just gonna buy it because I pre-ordered it, and you don't get the reviews till the review wasn't coming out for it until after it was already released. And I'm like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna buy it," and I bought it. And 10 minutes into play, and I'm like, why isn't this good? It was terrible. I wanted to just break the disc in half. I ended up, I think I owned that game for 5 days before I got rid of it. I didn't even want it in my possession. I didn't even want to acknowledge that game was in my inventory of games. I wanted it out of my inventory of games. It was so bad.
I wanted to go back in time and punch myself in the nuts. Jared,
then I look at the review and it got terrible reviews, and I'm like, son of a...
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this. There was you and my other friend, and I'm for some fucking reason forgetting his gamer tag. who were both really excited for it. And I remember me, you, and him having conversations where you were guys like, oh, I'm so excited. This game looks awesome. I'm so excited for a new Resident Evil game. And I'm like, I don't know, guys. I've seen some videos. It doesn't look that great. And then you're like, no, it's going to be great. And I'm like, I don't know, guys. It's made by the SOCOM devs, and SOCOM devs and Resident Evil just don't seem to mix to me. And you're like, no, it's going to be great. And then I remember you coming back into that call and him coming back into that call to admit defeat. And I was a good friend, and I was like, oh, that sucks, guys. But I'm not going to lie to you. On the inside, I'm like, fucking told you so, you fucking idiots. Maybe you should listen to me.
I like how you took this example and then you made it about how awesome of a person you are.
Jared, let's be honest. It's not hard to make something about how awesome I am, because that shit just shines through.
I heard the bad rap about it, and you're right. Like, I refused. I wanted a good Resident Evil game. I convinced myself. I was like, no, I want a Resident Evil game, and it's the same thing with Resident Evil 6. I wanted.
Resident Evil 6
I'm sick of terrible Resident Evil games coming out, and I'm like, no, maybe it takes another company to build a game to make it good or something. And I didn't read too much into it, and and that's partly my fault. But I mean, what's $60? It's pocket. Oh wait, no, it's $60.
No, and it's fine. I'm not saying like, Jared, you idiot, you made a mistake, you suck. No, everybody does that.
And I did make a mistake, and I'm pissed, and it pissed me off. So that's my number one.
I didn't want to say it, but now that you said it, I agree.
No, it's fine. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong.
No.
But I was right. No, I was kidding.
I was right. It was just the opposite of it.
Yeah, well, and then just with that is Resident Evil Revelations, but I didn't come into Resident Evil Revelations with as much as I did Operation Raccoon City, because it was after Raccoon City, and I realized that Resident Evil's kind of reached their peak and they're kind of starting to go downhill.
Can I ask you a question?
But anyways, what?
Is 3 of the 5 games Resident Evil games on your list?
No.
Oh, because you said...
this is still number 1. I lumped them both into the same thing.
I was going to say, that doesn't seem so good for Resident Evil. It doesn't bode well.
No. The second game is Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Now, I was a huge Banjo-Kazooie fan.
I forgot about it.
Oh, Jesus, I'm coming. Oh,
I think he's dying. Someone call 911.
Jared, I love you. Oh, my God. I can't believe this. You're listing, these so many games where... Yeah, I'm not going to say it. Just go ahead. I love you.
Just say it.
I was going to say, everybody also knew that game was going to be terrible.
Well, yeah, because Microsoft took it over, and
it just wasn't a Banjo game. They're like, hey, you know what we like about Banjo? It's got really witty humor and platforming, and it's 3D platform and all this stuff. And like, yeah, now we're gonna make it a racing game. It's like everybody knew that was gonna be a bad idea.
Like, I didn't know all that.
Oh, okay.
I don't do research on I love the first 2 Banjo-Kazooie games, and that was enough for me. I didn't do all the research. Like, I didn't even think that I needed to.
If you didn't,
and I didn't know that Microsoft took it over till after.
Yeah, if you didn't look into that game at all, you could easily make that mistake.
No, because I don't look into games a lot, because then I just, for instance, Fallout 4, I'm not looking into it a lot because it just makes me want it that much more. I'm just going to highly anticipate it and then buy it. And if it sucks, I'm just going to be pissed.
Oh,
and
so you didn't know that Fallout 4 was going to be a racing game?
Yeah. Please. Oh, shit. Damn it. Now I gotta stop my pre-order. You know what? I'll cast over. Don't even joke about that. That's not even funny.
Mad Max and Fallout 4 are the same game. You just didn't know.
Oh, man.
Damn.
Yeah, but that game was absolutely terrible. Another game I only played for 10 minutes, and I'm like, why am I building a car and driving? And the thing is I read about it after the fact, that they actually had the whole third game built, and they scrapped it to make it a racing game.
Yeah, because platformers, they didn't think they were going to be profitable anymore, and nobody wanted
Microsoft.
them.
So
I love
let's just
Microsoft, but I hate you.
The next popular genre, racing game.
Yeah, Halo's popular, but let's make... Could you imagine if Banjo 3E was fucking... Did I say Banjo? Banjo 3E was just a fucking militaristic shooter.
I'd actually try it because I think it's hilarious, the concept of a bird.
Well, it's
and
funny
a bear.
because they had a shooting mini games in Banjo-Tooie, right? Where you would hold Kazooie by the neck and tail, and it would shoot fucking eggs out of its mouth.
That'd be hilarious if they have something like Garden Warfare, similar in the vein of Garden Warfare, where it's this cartoony shooting.
I like the idea that they don't do the Tooie route where they get it satire and stupid, and they literally gave like Banjo a fucking M4 or some shit, just like go and kill like fucking Taliban or some shit. That'd be hilarious. They were the enemy at the time.
Build your gun. Yeah, so I was pretty upset about that. My third one is, and you guys may not agree with me on this one, but Dead Space 3. I pre-ordered that game, bought it for the Xbox, and I loathed that game. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't get into it. I loathed everything about it with every fiber of my being.
I like the idea.
It wasn't scary. Like, I didn't think it was scary. I was playing it like 2 o'clock in the morning, pitch dark, and I'm like, this game isn't scary. It's just a bunch of jump scares, and they're completely predictable, except for like maybe a few.
This game isn't scary. It's just scares.
No, it's just jump scares.
I know.
Which aren't really. I don't define jump scares as like quote unquote scary, you know. But anyways, that game was just a huge disappointment. Maybe if I played co-op with somebody, it would change it, but I doubt it. And then I'm just going to lump the last two together. So
okay,
well,
before you do that, I just like to think of I like the idea that, like, you're watching my playthrough of Dead Space 3, and you're just like, I want to support my friend, but this is killing me. This is fucking killing me.
Watching somebody play a game I hate is just like watching somebody play a game I like, you know?
Except for the fact that I fucking hate it.
Yeah, I mean... Just because I hate the
Gay?
What? Just because I hate the game doesn't mean that I don't enjoy watching somebody play it with their commentary. But yeah, it was pretty terrible, just so you know. Like there was parts where you're playing that game and I'm just like, what is going on? Like, he's just fucking floating through space and shit, and I'm like, this is weird.
Dead Space 3 is easily the worst of the three. But I it's fun.
I found it to be a fun game. I played
one.
it through a couple of times. I don't know. I like it. It's not as good. I agree. It's not as good as the other game. It's just a different game. It's
the Resident Evil 4 of Resident Evil if Resident Evil 4 was only okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's a different game than the other two, and it wasn't great.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Dead Space 1 was good, but it's like a game that I would only play if I had nothing else to play. But I mean, because there's so many good games that are better than it.
Are you saying Dead Space 1?
Well, Dead Space 1 I actually completed, but I never played it through again or played it after I completed it. So it's a good game, but it's not like, you know, I have so many other games that I would play again after. But Dead Space 2 was a disappointment, and I never finished it, but I got further than I did in Dead Space 3.
Well, then it sounds like Dead Space just isn't your series, because Dead Space 1 is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Dead Space 2 is also fucking awesome.
I like Dead Space 1. It's just like...
a lot of people would say Dead Space 2 is better than the first, so it's interesting
like
that
Dead Space 1 isn't like this game that was like revolutionary for me or like so great that, you know, I would play it over and over again. It was a good game. It just wasn't revolutionary or whatever, you know, so...
That's interesting.
For me, anyways.
So, Jared, tell me what it's like to be wrong.
I don't know. I've never been wrong. So.
I like it.
Except for every time I talk to my wife. Anyways, my fourth, or my last two, I'm just going to lump together, and those are Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and World at War. Because World at War was the second Call of Duty game that was World War II based, and I was excited about it, and it just turned out to be terrible. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was, I think I got to like level 8 online before I stopped playing it. It was so terrible to me. So those, I'm just kind of lumping those together. But yeah, those two games were huge disappointments, and those kind of started my downward spiral of Call of Duty games.
I'm surprised that Gears of War wasn't on your list.
Well, I never had high expectations of Gears of War.
Yeah, but you could still regret buying it.
I don't regret buying it because, like, a lot of times that I played with you online was Gears of War. So, like, if I would, the only way I would be able to play with you online, or a lot of my friends online, was Gears of War. Otherwise, I would just be talking to them in a party and not playing anything or playing something else. So, I had some good experiences with it. It's just kind of average to me. So,
like my cock.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm talking average, not small. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So those are the games that when I thought of the question that popped out, I'm sure there are a lot more.
Has
Has
Steph even answered this question yet? Did you do your answers?
Yeah, I think she went first. You
Yeah,
guys
Shadow the
went
Hedgehog.
first.
Okay, yeah, but was that all you had? Was just Shadow?
I think so because like from that day, honestly, from that day on, the thing is that
I got wrong. Steph was like, and that was the day that I got wronged, and I never ever let that happen again.
because here's the thing. Well, I was deceived also because the
I've been deceived.
Nintendo Power released a review of the game. They gave it an 8.
You do know that Nintendo Power was run by Nintendo.
You do realize I was just a kid, and I
Okay.
was just like, Nintendo knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, Nintendo Power was like the most biased magazine since
Do you guys
Playboy.
remember Electronic Gaming Monthly and Game Pro? Those magazines?
do.
I
Remember
remember
all
I
of them.
had an issue of
EGM?
Game Pro.
Game Pro. Xbox had their OXM for a while.
Yeah.
I had that for a while.
Yeah. I started with my. I still get a subscription to Game Informer, but I started with Game Pro and then went to Game Informer. Like I've had a subscription to a gaming magazine since I was a kid.
I had Game Informer for a while, and then they're like, "Hey, we made you do the digital version." I'm like, "I don't want that. Can I have the physical version?" They're like, "No," and I'm like, "Okay, then."
What?
You can, but
I
you have
still
to go
get-
through yeah, it's a hassle.
They
I still get the physical
basically
version.
told me no. Like, they're
Oh,
just,
did
yeah.
they?
They're like,
What?
Yeah, they're like, I mean, no.
No.
And I'm just like, oh,
That's ridiculous.
okay.
Yeah.
And then I canceled it, and I never got it again.
No, that's what I do in the bathroom when I'm taking a shit. I read my Game Informer.
If
It's
I
like,
still got
that's- I
physical
get the hard
copies, I'd do it. But I
yeah,
mean,
like I used to.
Yes, I'm saying I still get my physical copies. You just need to go to GameStop and be like, listen here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put my foot down.
Yeah.
Now
And
you
they're like-
you all listen to me. I am
Like-
the digital master, but I do not want your digital version. I want a paper version that I can look at while I am pooping.
So that'd be one copy of Oblivion. That'd be $19.99.
Because like I started with Nintendo Power, and later on when Gears 3 was announced, I switched over to Game Informer because obviously Nintendo Power doesn't cover.
And this girl calls herself a gamer.
You're dying in your sleep
I feel
tonight.
like you start your answer and then we interrupt it with something like you never get to finish your answer. So
Oh, it's okay.
I think you were going into some other games that were disappointments
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah.
And this girl calls herself a gamer.
Oh, he's really dying in his sleep tonight.
Okay, go ahead.
In terms of disappointment, yeah, ever since the Shadow the Hedgehog incident, I've been very diligent in reading reviews. And now, still, at that time, I still made pre-orders. I still pre-ordered Bulletstorm and Gears of War 3. And let's see what else. I had a couple games, but then eventually I just stopped pre-ordering anything because I'm tired of,
Won't be fooled again.
Yeah, so like nowadays, if I see, because this game's gonna be $60, like unless you catch it on like the discount, which maybe you shave off like a couple dollars, but I rather like only pay $60 when the game's good than to risk, I mean, granted, I could transfer the $5 to another pre-order, but who says that that pre-order is gonna be good too? So I don't know. I just stopped pre-ordering games. In terms of just disappointment, yeah, I don't exactly know, because the thing is that a lot of games, there are only really a few games I really get hyped up for nowadays. Nowadays, it's just, this game looks interesting, I'll pick it up, and if the game's not good, I'm not disappointed. It's more, well, that game just didn't turn out good. And I'm trying to think of games I've played
How
recently.
dare you be so impartial?
Right? And like for older games, like I keep like an open mind of like, alright, well this is older, has some data mechanics. Like I've been going through the first Fallout game and I had that kind of mentality. Same thing with Call of Duty 2. Enjoyed those games because, it's
Old game is old.
old game is old. But yeah, I don't think recently I've been disappointed. It will probably come to me, but as far as I can think of, nothing's really extremely disappointed me. Like
I think
I'll
the thing
even
is
go-
that you're just desensitized, because I took my shirt off once, and then that was like the most
right.
disappointment you ever had, aside from me when I took off my pants. And now it's just like, well, nothing will ever be that disappointing.
Exactly.
So.
You prepared me with taking off your
I
shirt,
agree.
so once you took off your pants, it's like, okay, Shadow the Hedgehog, him taking off his shirt. I think I can handle this one. So,
and then I took off my pants, just like somehow that was even worse. And then that was it.
Just brought up old memories of disappointment.
Just my entire life of disappointment. So yeah, I'll probably like all of a sudden just come back to
desensitized to disappointment.
That's it. I can just
Hashtag desensitized to disappointment. Fucking type that one out.
So yeah, that's pretty much. I don't know if I'll probably think of it. Oh, I'll even say this, but even Mass Effect 3 wasn't a huge disappointment. Mainly, and here's the reason
on
why.
My list.
Here's the reason why, though. I knew Mass Effect 3's ending sucked before I played Mass Effect 1. So, I was into the series and I knew what I was getting to. Plus, I played the game with the fixed end, well, quote unquote, fixed ending. So, it wasn't as bad as it was before.
I am convinced that game was so disappointing that I repressed it from memory because I didn't even think about it until you just said that. That is definitely on my list of disappointing games.
I was expecting the disappointment. So my bar was low, so I wasn't disappointed. I actually was like, okay, I can accept this ending.
Well, it was funny because I was in college at the time, so like all of my friends were playing it or whatever, and they were playing it way faster than me because they were actually good at college and they could do work faster than I could. And I just remember, like, everybody's like, for the first 2 or 3 days, because we only got a couple hours a day at the most, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, everybody's just like, this game's really good. I'm liking it a lot. And then, like, one person came back to beat the game, and everybody else was like, no. And they're like, oh my God, I want to kill somebody. And then the next day, like, 2 more people came in and like, that was the fucking ending. And then, of course, I was the last person to beat the game. But when I finally got to the ending, I'm like, I get why everybody's so fucking mad. This game was shit at the end. And it was like, it actually beats Resident Evil Revelations.
Wow.
That's how much I repress it. That might be my most disappointing game in the history of life. Because, I'm like, this game's awesome. I loved the first one after that hiccup. 2 was awesome. Played them both many, many times. And 3 was great. Until the last 30 fucking minutes, where then it decides to fall apart at every seam it has, revealing a pile of shit that it then forced to shove down your throat by a person who swears to God that they are the canon writer of the game. And I'm like, fuck you! No way!
Yeah.
That game was terrible at the end. And that fucking piecemeal ending was basically like putting a band-aid on a bullet hole. It's a bit better, but fuck you! Yeah, jeez, okay, that'll rile me up. Holy shit.
We better get to the next topic. I think time is
okay, well,
catching up to us.
It's definitely catching up to us. So, my topic, which will be the final topic. Wow.
Oh, I gotta go, guys. Sorry.
No. I was almost going to read the first one. Okay, my real topic. What game/games changed your life? Now, before I get too far into that, that's a really cheesy, cliche, hyperbolic thing to say. I think I used that word right. So I don't mean it's just like, I'm not trying to compare this to like the day you found out about Jesus or anything like that. But, like games that like have made such a significant impact that it changed the way you went throughout life, or changed just who you are now because of it.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I'm going to say the Elder Scrolls Oblivion.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
It's really funny because we always record this and we're usually in separate places. I guess I should have said that in the beginning. Steph's in my room with me right now. We're naked.
Me too. I'm always naked though. So.
But it's funny because we're always recording in different places, we never see each other because for some reason we don't turn on our webcams. And I actually saw the little like light bulb go off in her head, and then she leaned into the mic with this like smiling face, just waiting for me to finish my sentence. Like she was so excited for that. And it was good. It was good. It was worth it.
Yes, somebody likes me. my need for attention has been validated.
Yay.
But Jared, you go first.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared.
No, I really. This is a hard one for me because I don't know about a game who's... I mean, like, the way you just set that up is like... It sounds like this game is like... Oh my gosh, it's blowing my mind, and...
Well, I just mean that, like, it changed, like, for example, I would say that a game that changed your life is, let's say you were a PlayStation fan forever, and then you played an Xbox game, and now all you play is Xbox. Like, something that literally changed something in your life.
That sounds like your story, GP.
What? No. We'll get into that. We'll get that in a
I
second.
have a good example.
That's what I was trying to say. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's this huge ordeal.
Let me give you a good example, Jared. I've mentioned this before. I think on our list of like top games. But the original Gears of War would be that game changer for me. No pun intended. Where before I would just play games every so often. Again, back in the GameCube, and even actually when I got my Xbox, I didn't get Gears until. Actually, just kidding. I played the PC version of Gears before the Xbox, so just ignore that.
Gears of War 1 changed my life, but because before Gears of War 1, boys were icky, and after Gears of War 1, boys were
I didn't know what an orgasm was till I played Gears
I didn't know what an orgasm was until I put my controller on my clitoris holding down the trigger while Dom goes, Dom, get over here. I said Dom said that, meant Marcus.
Oh, Dom.
They roleplay. See, Dom plays as Marcus, and Marcus plays as Dom.
I found out what an orgasm was when I watched Baird fix that troika.
Oh, God.
Handyman and a huge cock? I mean, what more could you want?
Which inspired all the dirty fan fictions I've written.
And it directly led to the disappointment when I took my pants off.
Exactly. You're no Marcus Phoenix. I'm sorry.
I don't think even the most hung man is a Marcus Phoenix. That guy's doesn't... Not popularly known, but Marcus actually lost a leg as a child. The other thing he's been walking on is his dick.
Jeez.
Just putting a pant leg. Okay, sorry.
All right, so...
Completely derailed.
Nah, it's good. It's great. We have fun here. And so before I would just play games, my DS, my GameCube, whatever, and then would play the occasional PC game. But I wasn't really into gaming. I just play whatever was fun. Mostly platformers and such, because that's what I grew up with. And then somehow Gears of War just fell into my lap. And
it made me a wet lap.
And I played through it, and I'm just like, this game is really fun. It's really also one of the first, serious shooters. I know it's not an FPS, but it's the closest thing. It's a third-person shooter, but before that, I was playing Star Fox Assault. That wasn't a good representation of a shooter. So...
Oh, crap.
Played Gears of War, and the whole cover mechanic, the gunplay, everything. I was just like, this is really fun. This is really great. And then I beat that game several times, and then I discovered about Epic and the Unreal Engine. And there was a thing at the time called the Unreal Development Kit, the UDK, which is pretty much you can use it to make games, make levels. And I was... pretty much, and also Gears of War, if you play the PC version, had the Gears of War editor, which you can go into the game and actually manipulate the 3D assets and stuff, the level. And I got into that, and I did research, and that's what led me into just me wanting to learn about how to make games. And then that's what threw me into me getting into the gaming industry. Me just wanting to learn about games, me completely botching my junior and senior year because I was busy playing around with an Unreal Editor. It was the game that really wanted me to make games, because there was something about Gears. I don't know whether because it was just beautiful at the time or that the environments, but something about Gears made me go, games went from just toys and entertainment to something that could be cinematic and essentially be interactive. I don't want to say interactive movies because nowadays I have a bad connotation, but essentially be like these adventures in movies that you can be a part of. And something that's intense and very cinematic as Gears was a good starting point to be thrusted into, game design and game development. So, because of Gears of War, here I am.
Any others?
I think Gears of War was the biggest one. Recently, I guess I could say Mass Effect was something that threw me back into science fiction. but that's about it. I think the big one is Gears of War. Like there were little games here and there where I'm like the Telltale games of like, oh, that's cool, dialogue games, but Gears of War was the big one where it's like Gears of War got me into serious gaming.
I think that mine's probably the same too with the Final Fantasy when I was a kid. Because I mean, like the Final Fantasy and what it was just, it blew my mind at the time, and then when the Zelda of Ocarina of Time came out, it also kind of blew my mind. So, I mean, those were the two games I could think of that pretty much, you know, made it, I'm going to be a gamer for life kind of thing, you know? So.
For me, there's two smaller ones, but one big one. The first one that would be the original Halo. I think I talked about this before.
Yeah.
Halo was that game where like games became games to me. Like before, it was the thing that I played with. It was the thing that I did, and that like after that, like I got into the industry and I started following development and learning about development and developers and who does what and how things are made and how games come out and what games are coming out when and what an E3 was and all this shit. It's like, it was the game that like I wanted to learn all about that shit because it was just so mind-blowingly fucking awesome. And I always liked games' looks. I always found it really interesting when games would look better and new games would come out and new consoles and engines and everything, and games started to improve. So when Crysis was shown off and came out, and everybody was just like, I can't believe how fucking great this game looks. It's the most amazing thing. It's like a GPU killer. You'll never understand how good this game looks. And I was just like, okay, it sounds cool. And then I saw it for myself, and I was like fucking jaw to the floor. Like, could not believe that this was a game and how pretty it looked and how real, and like I could see this being a place. It wasn't just a game anymore. It was, this game was resembling a real place that had everything, trees and fish and foliage and things to break and shadows and dynamic lighting and water and all this shit. I was like, I can't even fathom this. But the game that changed my life, because it literally changed what I was gonna do for a living, was Far Cry. I think it was just called Far Cry Instincts. Yeah. On the original Xbox. And the reason that game blew my mind is because it was a shooter game. Obviously I like shooters. And I was playing it. I'm like, this is cool. You know, I like the game. The game's fun, all that shit. And I owned the game, but then I just noticed that in one of the menus it said map editor. And I'm like, map editor, huh? I wonder what that's all about. And then I realized that it was a full-fledged, from the ground up, fucking map editor. You could adjust terrain and paint it and add trees and everything. Literally, you would start with a flat sea of ocean and you could create an entire world on it. And I started making maps. And then I started making maps. And then I started making maps. And next thing I know, that's all I'm doing while gaming. I'm not even playing games anymore. I'm just playing this one fucking game, making all these different tropical island maps that I could think of. And I'm just like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to make maps for games. I want to make people areas that they can play on and have fun on that look fucking amazing. And then from there, it was Far Cry 2, because I knew that was going to have a map editor. And then Far Cry 3 and all this. I mean, obviously Far Cry 3 came out when I was in college. But like with Far Cry 1 and Far Cry 2, when I'm playing all these and making all these maps, I'm like, this is it. This is what I want to do with my life. And I would say that is actually a definition of a life-changing thing. Because before that, I was like, maybe I'll be a rock star or something like that. Like something stupid. And I went to college for it, and I met my girlfriend at it, and now I know all these things, and it's like, it literally changed how my life unfolded. If I'd never played those games, I may never be where I am now. So that game changed my life. And shout out to BioShock, because that game taught me that fucking games can be amazing too. Mm-hmm. So
I feel like we should touch base on this a little bit more, because I mean, I've heard the story, and I think it's one that's worth telling about you and how you all the different sequences in your life led up to where you are now, and with Steph and everything. But unfortunately, I've lost track of time, and I think we need to wrap.
That's okay. This podcast is probably going on for an hour and 15 minutes at this point, so I think that's long enough to listen to us all talk about the same fucking shit for the past hour and 15 minutes. So. We'll talk about maybe that'll be another next topic, is we'll maybe have, like, you know, I don't know how we'll word it, But we'll get into some shit with that next topic, next episode or whatever. Cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Grunting Podcast. I've been GP. These are the other folks. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll know more about Alex's return because I know you guys are just so excited for him to come back. Soon, hopefully. He should have his schedule of actual work times in the next couple of days. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm the Grunting Pixel. This is Steph. I mixed it up there, Jared. And Jared.
Hello. See you next time,
we'll
guys.
see you guys next time. Leave down in the comments below every topic that we ever had here, your response to it down in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Goodbye.
Okay, so yeah, Andrew's literally waiting outside with Joe for me to finish, so I felt bad
that's
for her to be sitting out there in the heat.
That's fine. Have you stopped? Have you stopped recording yet? Okay, no. Just one more time. Let's sync because I want to make sure that's good. So, 3, 2, 1, sync.
Sync.
And actually, we might do this. Ooh, that'd be a good idea. We should sync at the very end. That way, I know exactly where the sync is. I just go to the end of all of our clips. Okay, yeah, we're gonna do that from now on. So you can end it now, Jay.
Okay.